Welcome, welcome. I'm Amy Thurman. I'm so glad that you're here. Welcome to my very first Soul Love Reflection. Oh my gosh, I am so excited to be here, so excited to offer this for you and to you. And I have never done one of these before, so I'm excited to see how it goes. And I really, really hope that it benefits you. I want you to know up front, this is not going to be a sales pitch. That's not what I'm about. This is about helping others. Like my whole story, my whole mission, my whole purpose is about helping other people. And that's what this is about too. Yes, I will show you a way that you can schedule a call with me only because people have been asking, how do I get a call with you? How do I know more? But that's the only reason. Otherwise, it's just here. I'm just here for you. I want to start by introducing you to, I told you in all of the things that I have posted about this, that it is a soul love reflection. We're going to be talking about self love and soul love, and also doing some emotional clearings. And I will explain that in more detail as we get to that point. We're going to start with talking about self love because I know some of you are still working to get towards self love. So we'll start there. And then we'll talk a little bit about soul love, how to get to there. And then we'll do a reflection. And then we'll move into the emotion clearings. And I have two volunteers today who have volunteered to come live to be recipients of this emotion clearing, these emotion clearings. And I want to introduce you to them really quickly. Welcome, Scott. Welcome, Kitty. Thank you so much for being here with me.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same. I'm anxious to see what comes out of this.
Yes, me too. It's going to be very interesting. And like I told Scott and Kitty earlier, I have never done this publicly. I have done this individually with people to help them work through things, but I've never done it in front of other people. And so I'm really excited to see what we can work through with these two today. So I'm just excited that you're here. Thank you for hanging out with me the entire time
Mhm.
and for being willing to help me in this way. So we will see you guys in a little bit. I'll pop you back up and I'm
All
going
right.
to pop you back off the screen for now, but thanks again.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Get that settled there. Okay, I'm looking at the comments. Hey, Brooke. Hi, Roxanne. Oh my gosh. Brooke says, hi, Kitty and Scott. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks so much for watching. Also got Instagram going over here. So if you're watching on Instagram, welcome. And LinkedIn, Facebook, we're all in here together. Okay, so what I want to start with is so I just want to talk a minute about self love because, like I said, some of us are working toward self love. We're at a point where we're not ready to approach soul love yet because we haven't made it to self love. And you have seen any of the posts that I've made, hopefully you've understood that self love is important. It's the step to get you to soul love. And I hope I say these right. I get them mixed up sometimes. But yes, self love is the step to get you to soul love. And so I just want to talk a minute about self love and maybe a little bit of the differences because I've talked about that in detail in some of my posts. But if you have missed those, I want to just real quickly cover those. And there are a lot of new faces here. I'm just so glad that you're here, that you're following me. Real quickly, I am Amy Thurman. I have lived the past 10 years with a broken neck that went undetected for 6 months, leaving me incapacitated and disabled for nearly a year. And I almost swallowed a handful of pills, but decided to fight to live instead so I could use my story to help others. And that's what it's become. That's what we're doing now. So, okay, self love. Self love is what society pushes, it's what it teaches us, right? We hear it, it's the buzzword all over the place. There's even a TED talk about self love, like it's all over the place. But what I have found in throughout my journey of living the past 10 years with a broken neck and really, really learning more about my emotions and more about connecting with my soul is that there is a difference, a distinct difference in self love and soul love. And self love, I'm going to say this and then I'll explain it. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing. I want you to keep in mind that self love is important, that I support it wholeheartedly as a first step. But it's most of the time based in fear. We are setting boundaries, we are using protective mechanisms, and it's a source of prevention. So that it is coming from a place of fear. And it's not intended to be that. Please understand that that's It is a good thing, and it doesn't have to come from a place of fear, but most of the time it does. And self-love teaches us to love ourselves as we are now, the person that we are now, to accept whatever's going on with us, whatever our beliefs are, whatever we look like, however we feel, to accept that, to just love ourselves as we are. And so, again, it's important. The thing I want you to understand is that it's different than soul love. Soul love is completely different because soul love is based in unconditional love. It's all about love. It will always lead you to love, and its mission is to help you embrace and love the person that you are intended to be, or the person that you have the potential to be. Do you see the difference? I want to make this clear, that there is the person that we are now, who we have become through all of our experiences and all the things we've taught and all of our beliefs throughout however old we are. That's who we are now. But did you know that there's another version of you just waiting to blossom, just waiting to be developed? Like, we never ever arrive. When we arrive, we're no longer here. Okay? So the person you are now, accepting that person, is self-love. Accepting and doing the work that it takes to become the person that you're intended to be, or the person that you have the potential to become, is soul love. And that's a whole different thing, because you have to think differently, right? You have to think bigger than what you're thinking now. You have to think beyond the scope of what you even can see now. It requires a lot of trust. It requires a less judgment. It requires just allowing things to be what they are. And that's a tough place to get to. Let me tell you, I still mess up a lot. Like, I'm still human. I want you all to know that it doesn't mean you're perfect. It means that you see things from a different lens. Like, I now see things from a lens of love. Just like, if you have followed me for long, you know that I had 2 car accidents back to back, like 3 weeks apart. And instead of getting out and just shaking my finger at them and yelling at them, I went to check on them and see if they were okay, and ended up getting to share my story with them. And both of them ended up crying and hugging me and saying, "I need to hear what you had to say today." You just come at life from a place of love, and you just trust that things happen because, for a reason, that they were going to turn into something good. Not that you're supposed to have bad things happen to you, but that those bad things that do happen, you really have an understanding that they're going to turn into something good. And so I hope that helps understand the difference between self-love and soul love. I want to give you just a few steps, because I said I would give you some practical tips. If you want to take notes, feel free to take notes. But this video will be here. It's live, and so it will be here on my feed wherever you're watching it, except on Instagram. You won't be able to rewatch it there, but I will post it on my YouTube, so you can go watch it there. So some steps to build self-love. Again, if this is where you're starting, like, you're not ready to move to soul love, you're just starting at, I need to figure out how to practice self-love. How do I do that? I made some notes this time, because y'all, I get fired up because I'm so passionate about this that I lose track of time. So I'm writing notes, and I'm sticking to my notes. So when you see me looking down, I'm looking at my notes to make sure I keep us on track. All right. So the first one is practice self-compassion. So practicing self-love, we have to, before we can feel that love for ourselves, we have to have compassion for ourselves. And it's just like you would have compassion for another person. If you see someone going through something or dealing with something, and you feel like, oh my gosh, I really want to help them, or what do they need? Let me give them a kind word or a hug or something like that. That's what it is to practice self-compassion. You do the same thing for yourself. So however you would treat a friend who was going through something, who was going through what you're going through, how would you treat that friend? That's what I say to myself. Like, how would I treat a friend who was going through this? And that's how you treat yourself. That's how you talk to yourself. The second one is to set healthy boundaries. Again, I don't want you to think about this as coming from a place of fear, although it does, but it is important for us to set healthy boundaries. We are innately love, and we are innately givers, and we innately want to help people. I know not everyone expresses that, but that's how we came here. We came here with that inside of us. And so it's still in there. I don't care how bad you think a person is, that love and that compassion is still inside there. But because we're like that, we often take on more than we should. and we don't set healthy boundaries. We don't allow ourselves to take the care of ourselves that we need to, whether it's sitting in a bath or going for a walk or eating healthy food or getting enough sleep at night or meditating or praying or hanging out with friends, whatever it means to you that makes you feel better about yourself, makes you feel good. Because the thing I want you to understand here is that we're looking for those good feelings. I talked about in a post or a video about you need to be able to understand the difference in the feelings that feel good and the feelings that feel uncomfortable, because we want more of those good feelings, because those are what's going to get us to the next step. If we continue to live in these uncomfortable emotions all the time, then that's where we're going to stay, and that's not where we want to be. That's never going to get us where we want to be. So we need to be aware of, is this feel good, or does this feel uncomfortable? Does this feel not so good? And you got to think it through in your brain and feel it in your body, and focus more on the things that make you feel good. And so that's setting healthy boundaries is number 2. Number 3 is create time for self-care. And again, this can be pretty much what I said earlier, that you have a calendar. Most of us have a calendar. We put in work things. I put in all of my doctor's appointments and all of my physical therapy and all of that. But do I ever put in there time for self-care? No, that's not something I think about. And you know why we don't put it in our calendars or make it or put it in whatever we use? Because it's not a priority. And it should be the top priority, because we're not going to be able to be good employees or good spouses or good parents or sisters or what am I? A daughter, a child, when we are not able to take adequate care of ourselves. And so that needs to be the top priority. And I know it's hard. It's not something I do well, really, because I'm such a helper and such a giver. I want to give to everybody else, and I just forget to take care of myself. So I do put it in my calendar now as self-care. And I have a myriad of things that I do. I use essential oils. I take I will soak in a bath. I'll go for a walk. I will go meet a friend, all kinds of things. If you need more ideas, I can help you with that. Just reach out to me or schedule the link. I think it's in the description, except on Instagram, a link to be able to schedule a call with me. I have several different ways that different times. Anyway, you can check that out. And then, so that was number 3, create time for self-care. Number 4 is acknowledging your accomplishments. Y'all, we are the worst at celebrating our wins, right? If someone on our team or someone in our life or someone on our that we work with does something well or does something worth celebrating, do we celebrate them? Yes, we celebrate them. But when we do something like that that's worth celebrating, I am the worst. I don't really celebrate myself like I should. I know I don't. And I think that's a very important thing, because what it does in our brains is it tells our brains and our bodies, you know what, that feels good. It feels good to celebrate. It feels good to have accomplished whatever it is that's worth celebrating. And so your brain says, okay, I want more of that. That feels good. Let's celebrate that. Let's get more of that. And so it kind of automatically shifts to help you get more of that. And so celebrating even those small wins helps your brain to get into that cycle. And the last one, the 5th one for self-love, is surrounding yourself with support. And you have probably heard it said that it's so important that the 5 people that you spend the most time with, here is the statistic: up to 95% of a person's success, 95%, y'all, that's almost 100. Up to 95% of a person's success is determined by the people they spend the most time with. Isn't that crazy? Thinking wait, no, I'm the one that's getting the success. Why does it have to do with the people around me? Because you don't understand how it all works. It's all energy. If they're spewing negative energy, but you don't think you're soaking it in, you are. It's affecting you. So again, make sure that the people, not only the feelings that you're feeling, that the people that you're surrounding yourself with feel good, make you feel good. Not that they're always telling you good things about you. They can still be honest with you, but you know what I mean. If they're constantly bringing you down, then that's going to affect you in your life and your success and who you are, who you want to become in life. Okay, any questions on that? Roxanne says, nope, I don't put that on my calendar, but it's a great idea. Yeah, right? Like, it's just so important. We have to make it as important of a priority as other things in our lives, or it won't get done. It just won't. So thank you, Roxanne, for sharing that. Okay. Now I'm going to shift to, those were the steps to self-love. And a lot of you may be thinking, oh my gosh, I've got a lot of work to do to just get to self-love. Like, how am I going to get to this soul love level? Oh, Brooke, your phone died. Oh, sorry. That's okay. I'm having Wi-Fi issues too. So I hope that you guys can hear me still. I'm going to keep talking. So you may be thinking, like, that self-love stuff, like, I got a lot of work to do to get to those. How am I going to get to soul love? It's okay. Like, that's the whole point of this, is just awareness. Okay. It's not to make you feel like, not to make you feel bad. It's just to make you aware of, where am I on this scale? Am I on this spectrum? And what do I need to focus on right now to get me where I want to be? And so please don't allow it to make you feel bad, or like you feel like you're less than. It's not what it's about. It's just about awareness. It just is what it is. And I'm just helping you understand where you are so you'll know where you can go. All right. So the next one, soul love. Whew, y'all, I put my notes down because I could talk about this for so long. So the first one is you have to tune inward. Now here's what I want to say about this. In our world, we are so tuned outward. Would you agree with that? Tell me in the chat. Would you say that you're more tuned inward or tuned outward? And what I mean by that is, what affects you the most? What people think about you, what people say about you, what people are going to, what comments they're going to make when they see you wearing this or when they see you doing that. That is being outwardly, what did I call it? Tuned outward. But when you're tuned inward, all that really matters is, how do you feel about it? Does it set well with you? Does it make you feel good? And you have to be able to go inside. Let me see what I've written here. That there are different ways that you can use to be able to tune more inwardly. And some of those are quiet reflection, which is what we're going to do here in just a few minutes. Journaling. Tell me in the comments, how many of you are journalers? Oh my gosh, I have literally like 15 journals. I have they're for different topics. I have all these journals. Oh my gosh, they help me so much, especially when I go back and look through them and see how far I've come. Oh yeah, it looks like we've got some tuned outward folks on here. Yeah, right. I think that's natural. That's what society teaches us to do. But moving to soul love, we have to be more tuned inward. Also, moments of stillness. We were talking about this before we came on live. Scott and Kitty and I were talking about this, that it's really difficult for us to be still, to take time to be still. Society rewards those who achieve things and who accomplish things and who are busy. Like, excuse me, I was trying to schedule a networking lunch last week, and every day and time I offered, excuse me, she said, oh, I have a meeting then, or I have a meeting then. It went back and forth, and we just couldn't connect. We couldn't find a time to connect because we both had so many things. I got to take a drink. I apologize. Excuse me. And her comment to me was, busy women, I love it. And I was just like, I understood what she was saying because society rewards that. Society tells us if we're busy, if we don't have time to do extra things, then that means we're accomplishing something, and that means that we're worth more. No, absolutely not. That is not the way it works. I want to say that up front, that is not the case at all. That's what society teaches us, but that's not what soul love is. Soul love is going inward and spending time in quiet. Like, how many of you, tell me in the chat, how many of you spend time in quiet? Is there ever a quiet moment in your day, except for the moment you wake up and right as you're going to sleep? I would guess that most of you have no quiet time in your day. And what that means is that everybody else is controlling what you're doing, that you can't hear, you can't feel, you can't connect with your internal self, your soul, because you're not spending time just being with it. You're not allowing yourself to just be. And you know what, guys? Have you heard this? We are human beings. We are not human doings. I'm going to say that again. We are human beings. We are not human doings. We are meant to be. We are meant to connect with ourselves. And I will tell you that once I learned to do this, you all have seen me do all kinds of exciting and amazing things, right? I'm not bragging. I'm just saying, like, it's blowing my mind, like all of the things I have been able to do. And that has all come about because I have been able to connect with my soul and hear what's there and be willing to feel what's there and listen to it. You have to learn to speak its language and then act on those crazy things that it tells me to do, those crazy ideas. I act on them and they turn into amazing things. And so it's like the difference in self love and soul love here is we're listening to people all the time jabber around, or our brains jabber at us. When soul love, we're listening to the very essence of who we are and who we're intended to be and who we have the potential to become. And it's a huge, huge difference, and it's life changing. So that's why I'm so adamant and so passionate about spreading this message, because I want you to get there too. It's totally possible. I don't want you to walk away from this thinking, oh my gosh, like that's something I could never do. No, don't say that. This is something that's possible for everyone, because everyone has this ability within them and this power within them to make this happen. And I'm trying to do my best to help teach you how to do it and to walk you through it. Okay, gotta move on here. Roxanne, oh my gosh, you're so sweet. She said, girl, I love watching your journey. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I just love you. Okay, so the second one, soul love, is, oh my gosh, this is tough. And I want you to know that these soul love steps are not easy. Okay, I'm just going to say it, like, they're not easy. They take work, they take real concentration and real dedication and consistency. But the second one is to let go of fear and judgment. All right. I could park here for a while, but I'm going to read my notes real quick so I make sure that I don't. It requires us to release the fear of failure. It requires us to release fear, period, but specifically the fear of failure. How many of you, tell me in the chat, are scared of failing? Like, you are fearful of failing. Like, you try something and you're doing your best and you're working hard and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't fail at this, or if I fail it will mean I am not worthy, or people won't think I have what it takes to do this, and just total fear all the time, right? Our society teaches us to live in fear. I'm just going to say that with all the things that are going on right now, all we hear, and I love media outlets, don't get me wrong, these media people have helped me so much, but really most of the things they're pushing are fear-based. And even our religious institutions are fear-based. And we can't live like that. We're not intended to live that way, y'all. We're intended to live from a place of love, not from fear. And that failure is not what you think. Failure has gotten me to where I am today. I will tell you, and it's because, and this is what I want you to understand, is releasing the fear and releasing judgment. When we allow things to be what they are, again, we're human beings. We allow them to just be what they are. We don't categorize them into something good or something bad. We just let it be what it is. Then we can take an opportunity to learn from whatever's happening. I wasn't going to share this, but man, I feel like I should right now. Oh, hope he's not watching. I had a TEDx organizer reach out to me and ask me to share a TEDx talk on his stage. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like, what, me? Like, I'm so excited, like, holy cow, that's like a bucket list thing of mine, is to give a TEDx talk. So I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So we do this interview and I thought it went well. And I was like, oh my gosh, am I going to get to do a TED talk? Like, I could hardly breathe. And so then the next week I get we regret to inform you letter that you were not chosen as a speaker for our stage. Oh, y'all, I was crushed. I had built this thing up in my mind and in my body and, in my whole everything, my emotions. I was so excited. And all of a sudden, like, bam, it's like, just kidding, not really. And it really, really affected me. And it took me a couple of days, really 2 or 3 days, to work my way through that. I felt such a sense of rejection, if you know what I mean. And it's no fault of the organizer. It was just, I was just so excited about it because it's a bucket list of mine. But what I ended up doing was once I was able to work through that feeling of rejection, then I was like, you know what? Then this is what my coach said to me. Rejection is actually a sense is no, he said, rejection is actually redirection. Oh, I gotta say it again. Rejection is actually redirection. He said to me, that's not the stage for you. There's a better one out there. And it's not the time, it's not the right one. You're being redirected. And I was like, oh my gosh, wow. It just like hit me like, okay. So then it felt good again. So I was feeling bad, bad, bad for a couple days because I was making it bad. I hope this is making sense and I'm not just rattling on, but it was something that up front I was judging as bad. In my life, I was just like crushed, and that's okay to feel that way. We're humans. We have those emotions. We need to feel them. But to stay stuck in that and to let it affect for me for more than a few days was not okay. And so I had to reframe it. I do a lot of reframing in my mind and turn it around and saying like, this is going to be a good thing. This means that there's a better opportunity out there for me. And so now I'm excited about the opportunity that's to come. I'm waiting for it. I'm just in eager anticipation awaiting this stage that's going to show up when it's time. And so I hope that makes sense, on letting go of fear and judgment, allowing things to just simply be what they are, not making them good or bad, and allowing yourself to learn from them. Oh, I'm just rattling on. Okay, let me go. Number 3 of steps to soul love. And there are so many more steps that I'm sharing with you today. This is just a little peek inside. But step 3 is embrace unconditional love. Oh man, that gives me chills just to say that because we have not grown up with unconditional love. If you have grown up with unconditional love, you are rare. Our society, everyone, it's just how things are. There are conditions on everything we do and every relationship we have, on everything, excuse me, on all the work that we do, on all the things that we think we're only doing for ourselves. We put conditions on ourselves. Do y'all do that? I do. I put conditions on myself. But with soul love, we have to embrace unconditional love. And what that means is we have to be willing to see ourselves as worthy of unconditional love. And that's a hard place to get to because we've been taught, just like the busyness, that you've got to meet certain criteria before you will be esteemed or before you will be looked at as successful. But that's not the case. That we can be who we are. It doesn't matter what we believe or what we look like or how we feel or any of these things or what we've been taught to do. Unconditional love is there. It's available for us and it's inside of us. That's what I want you to understand. That unconditional love lives within us. But we're not tapping into it because we are paying attention to all of these other influences in our lives that are telling us to look outward. But that's not the way to get where you want to get in life. It's connecting within, and we're going to do that here in just a few minutes. It's connecting within and being able to say, what does my soul need today? And that's one of the things I'm going to ask you here in just a little bit is when we do this reflection is we're going to ask ourselves, what does my soul need today? And that if you get one thing out of this, that's a one thing I would suggest that you do on a daily basis. Quiet your mind enough, quiet your body enough, be still enough to get to a place where you can just take some deep breaths and say, what does my soul need today? And it will be something different. It's something different for me every day. Most of the time, it's something in the self love category because I'm not practicing that like I should. But our souls need us to be willing to communicate with it and be interested and want that badly because it desperately is wanting to provide that for us. We just have to get to that point. Okay, got to move on. Last one, number 4, excuse me, in soul love is to trust the journey. I'm just going to read this and then maybe I'll talk about it for a second. Soul love is about trusting that you are where you're meant to be. Do you ever feel like you are not in the right place? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. This doesn't feel right. I just don't know how to get beyond where I am right now. Soul love says to trust that wherever you are right now is where you're meant to be, and that steps will come to you to be able to take you to the place that you have that feeling that you want to get to. It's totally possible for you. I want you to know that it's totally possible. Don't give up on that feeling. Even when the path is unclear, trust that your soul knows the way and that everything is unfolding as it should. Even when it feels bad, we have these bad feelings. Excuse me. I had an incident earlier this morning that stirred up some anger within me. And so this is how I do it. You're probably going to think I'm nuts, and that's okay. It is what it is. But I talk to myself out loud and I say, okay, I'm angry right now. Amy, you're angry right now because of so and so. You know what that means? Anger means that whatever happened is important to you, that whatever happened to make you angry matters to you, that it's important to you, and that upsets you because it didn't go the way you wanted it or because whatever happened. And so what do I need to do? I'm upset because something happened that was important to me that didn't go the way I want it to. And then I use my emotion frequency chart, which if you have my book, it's in there or it's on my website. And I say, okay, what is the next highest thing I can think to make me feel good? So right now I'm feeling anger. I don't want to feel anger. It's bringing me down. I don't want to be pulled down. I don't want to feel anger. So what thought can I think? Because our feelings begin with our thoughts. What thought can I think that will help me move to a higher level and not feel this anger? And so I went from I'm angry because this happened to, you know what? It's probably a good thing that happened because, and then I went on to all of this, like, you know what? It wouldn't have worked out this way because of this, and it wouldn't have worked out that way because of that. And then that just started a snowball, and that's what you'll find. So another thing I want you to take away from today is when you have a feeling that feels bad, whatever you can do to move it to a feeling that feels good, that should be your priority. So first of all, you got to know what you're feeling. You kind of know if it feels good or bad. And if it feels bad, think to yourself, okay, what thought can I think right now that will make it feel better? It doesn't have to feel good. Like your body won't let you go from bad to immediately good. You have to move up step by step. What's a thought that I can think that will make it feel a little bit better? And once you do that, then you can say, okay, what's one I can make it feel better? And it just kind of snowballs until you end up rolling uphill further and further. And so that's part of trusting the journey. Did I read that? Yes, I did. Okay, so, oh my gosh, I'm so excited that y'all are here. Hi, Stephanie. Thank you for being here. I'm going to look at these comments. Roxanne says, complete sense. I'm so glad it's making sense. Oh, that's so good. And Mary says, that's a great viewpoint. Oh my gosh. And oh, Roxanne, yes, fear is a liar. You're right. Fear is a liar. And we don't have to live that way. That's so good. All right. I love. Thank you all so much for commenting and being so interactive. I love that so much. Let me check Instagram over here and make sure. Hey, Instagram people, thanks for being here. Okay, so you'll have any questions before we move into our reflection? Real quick. I'm going to get that loaded up because I have notes on that too. Otherwise, we'll be here all night. So pop them in the chat if you have any questions. Roxanne is loving this. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad it's making sense. I really try to keep it simple and understandable and not make it really difficult or hard to understand. And so it helps me a lot to know that that's the way it's coming across. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. Excuse me. I want to know, first of all, before we start this, how many of you have ever just sat? I'll start with how many of you have ever meditated, or how many of you work on meditation, do meditation or reflection in your life, or maybe you try to and it doesn't work out the way you want it to, or how many of you sit in silence? How do you feel about silence? Let me know in the chat. How do you feel about silence? Is it uncomfortable for you? Or are you okay to sit in silence and just allow things to just be around you? It's a tough thing when especially when I was just getting started, I was not okay with silence. Like I wanted music or the TV going, even if I wasn't watching it, or something happening because that's the way we're trained. But we have to teach ourselves that silence is okay. Silence is amazing. Like once you get into that, oh my gosh, like I love silence. Like my son is like, Mom, where are you? I don't hear any noise. I'm like, I'm sitting in silence. I just wanted to be silent, because I love it so much. Um, let's see. Oh, Roxanne, great question. Can we work on self-love at the same time as soul love? Oh, that's good. I love that. Okay, so you've heard me say that self-love is a stepping stone to soul love. So, um, when in my experience, like, I live most of the time in soul love now, but like I said earlier, that sometimes when I say, okay, what does my soul need today? That sometimes it will shoot back to those self-love qualities. Like, what does my soul need today? You need to take a walk. You need to sit in a warm bath and just allow yourself to be. You need to go hang out with friends, those kind of self-love things. So I do think you can build them together from that perspective, but you cannot build soul love until you have gotten through the self-love part. Does that make sense? Like you have to be at the self-love part where you're accepting and loving yourself for who you are now and just allowing whatever happens to be what it is in your life before your body and your emotions and your whole being will be ready to move up to that soul love level. I hope that makes sense. Let me know if that makes sense. Roxanne says, okay, yes. Dana, hey, thanks for being here, Dana. So great to see you. Dana was I met her at the Emmys event. Oh my gosh, yes. I love that you're here. Dana says all about meditation, and it's a key part of my early AM. Yes, yes, mine too. Like before I get out of bed every morning, there are several things that I do. Meditation is one of them. I cannot start my day without it. And it makes a huge, huge difference. And it helps to do it right before you get out of bed because your mind is already kind of still, unless you wake up like, oh my gosh, I have 14 million things to do today, but it helps to the way that you wake up in the morning. I will say this: the way that you wake up in the morning and the very first things that you do in the morning, they will determine the rest of your day. So if you wake up in a frantic mess of, oh my gosh, I've got 14 million things to do, that's the way your day will continue. But if you wake up in this, I'm going to meditate for just 3 minutes, maybe just 5 minutes, just going to sit here and I'm just going to allow myself to just be and lay here and just stare at the ceiling. I do that sometimes. Like I'm just going to lay here and stare at the ceiling and then just try to empty my mind as much as I can. That's a form of meditation. Roxanne said earlier that she has trouble quieting her mind. Yeah, I totally get that. Scott and I were talking about that earlier. That's one of the first steps, like being aware of, okay, my mind is racing. That helps. I mean, it helps to know that because you're aware of what's happening in your mind. And what I told him what I do is, or what I did at first was, I would sit there. I had to close my eyes because otherwise I'll be thinking about things that I'm looking around, and get as quiet as I can. And then instantly something will pop here. It's like a popcorn thing. But as soon as I realize, and it may be not at first, but as soon as I realize that my thoughts are going somewhere else, I say, oh, okay, brain, thank you. Thank you, brain, for bringing that to my attention. We're over here right now. We're working on this right now. We'll come back to that later, but thank you for bringing it to my attention. It's like I'm acknowledging. I'm not saying, dang it, brain, why can't you just be quiet? That's not going to get you anywhere. That's not what your body needs. It's, I love you, brain. I'm so thankful that you are trying to help me, because that's what it's trying to do. It's doing what it's used to doing. And so it's like a child. You can't discipline it for doing what it's used to doing. You just have to retrain it. And so I just say, thank you, brain, for helping me, to understand that we're going to be right here for now and I can handle it. So right now I'm doing this and this is where I need to be right now. And I bring it in like 2 seconds later, another thought. Thank you, brain, for, so it's a matter of your meditations at first may be a series of thank you, brain, I'm over here. Thank you, brain, I'm right here. Thank you, brain, just the back and forth and back and forth. But once you get to the point where you do it more often, and consistency is key with this. Like the more you do it, the easier it gets. And you just become more comfortable with just allowing things to be quiet, because we're so uncomfortable with quiet. And so I would suggest, if you're uncomfortable with quiet, start with just a couple minutes, 3 to 5 minutes of quiet, and just sit and stare at the wall. I have done that before and see how that feels. and try to like just set a timer, or maybe just set a like a stopwatch and see how long you can sit there. I'm not talking like 20 minutes, but like 3 to 5 minutes, and just quiet and just stare at the wall or stare at the ceiling and see what happens. I would love to know, if you try this, what happens, and if you have thoughts or feelings or emotions that you haven't experienced before, because that is what happens when you get to the point where you can do this more easily. Then you start having these stirrings in your soul, feelings and emotions and thoughts that you're like, oh my gosh, that's a great idea, why haven't I done that? what where did that thought come from? It's like that happens to me all the time. That's how I'm able to do what I'm able to do, is because it's those thoughts. I call them downloads, that I'm just sitting and being quiet and they're just downloading. I'm like, oh my gosh, taking notes, frantically. So, okay, what else we have? Excuse me. So much more work to do. Hey, that's okay. And again, like I said, um, that's what this is about. I don't want you to think that, oh my gosh, I'm way down here on the spectrum. I've got so far to go. Okay, you may have a lot of room to grow, but that doesn't mean that you're bad and that it's horrible and that, you're just a failure. It means that now you know where you are, and now you know maybe what the next step is. So I don't want you all focusing on, I want to get from where I am all the way to full-blown soul love. Okay, I want you to focus on what is the next step for you. Is the next step just spending 3 to 5 minutes in quiet time each day, continuing to say, okay, brain, thank you, bring back, okay, brain, thank you, whatever it is for you. Whatever that next step is, just focus on that next step for a week or so and see if you can increase that time. If you're do 3 to 5 minutes pretty well, then increase it to 7 minutes. Just kind of see if you can grow that. And so I don't want you to see it as overwhelming. I think that's what when I was thinking about doing this, first of all, I have known I've needed to do this for a long time. Like, it's been stirring in here for a long time. And fear has prevented me from doing it, because the way I am wired, I want to have it all laid out. I want to have it all planned out. I want to know exactly how it's going to go. And I was afraid that it would be overwhelming, because I have lived it. And so it's one thing to live it, but it's another thing to try to explain it to other people and help other people do it who maybe haven't experienced any of it. And so I don't want you to get overwhelmed. Okay. I want you to just understand, come up with one thing. So I want you to tell me in the chat, if you're open to, what one thing are you going to work on this week? Is it sitting in silence? Is it meditating more frequently or more consistently? Is it taking more time for yourself? Is it practicing more of those self-love traits that we mentioned, or more of the soul love traits? Just tell me, if you don't mind, in the chat, one thing that you're going to work on this week, maybe as an accountability. And if you put it in the chat, then I'm going to reach out to you and I'm going to say, hey, how's it going with your 3 minutes of quiet time this week? So if you would like some accountability, tell me in the chat and I will reach out to you. Let's see. I'm looking over here at Instagram. Hey, Bev. Oh my gosh, thanks for being here. Bev says, devotions, prayer, and coffee for me each morning. Yes, yes. I know a lot of people do that, and that is so helpful too. Some people don't meditate, they pray, and that's absolutely fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that either. Whatever it is that helps your mind kind of calm and kind of just feel at peace is what I'm looking for. Okay, so put those in the chat. I'll come back to those. We need to move on because I don't want to be here all night. Oh my gosh, 15 minutes. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and start a reflection. And I do this with my eyes closed because, like I said, I don't want to be distracted by things that are, out, that I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, I need to fold that laundry or whatever. And so I do it with my eyes closed. But I always start with deep breaths. Breathing, I have learned, and I learned this at the Brain Center, actually, that breathing is the key to life, obviously. But breathing can take you places internally that you can't get to otherwise. And so we could do a whole thing on just breathing. But today, what I want you to focus on as we begin is taking deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. And you all can begin doing that in through your nose and out through your mouth. And excuse me, it helps a lot when you push that breath out your mouth. If you will do a sigh, like like an audible sigh, that triggers your body's calming system. It says, I'm safe. I'm okay right now. I can calm myself down. And it helps to calm your body. When you exhale a physical sigh like that, yeah, it may be weird. The people around you may be like, what are you doing over there? But that is one way, when we're talking about breathing, that can help is just that audible sigh. So I'm going to start with some deep breaths. If you'll take some deep breaths with me and just close your eyes if you feel comfortable. Start some music here. As you begin to breathe, your heart rate should slow, and you should begin to feel more calm and at ease. And your shoulders start to slump, and my head usually falls down. And your body just starts to relax just with simple breathing. So breathing could be one place for you to start. Even instead of just sitting in silence, just sitting and breathing for 3 to 5 minutes. Don't hyperventilate, but just breathe. So let's take a moment to settle in. Find you a comfortable spot, whether you're sitting or lying down, and let your body fully relax. If you're not driving, make sure that you are keeping yourself safe. This time is for you. There's no pressure, there's no expectation, just space to breathe and to be. Close your eyes if that feels comfortable, and to slow, deep breath in and exhale. We're going to start by grounding ourselves in the present moment. This is very helpful to me as well. When I feel like I'm spinning or out of control, grounding myself is a very powerful thing. I want you to feel the weight of your body wherever you're resting. Notice the surface beneath you, supporting you fully there. It's there for you. It's supporting you. Let yourself feel held by the ground beneath you, as if it's here to support you without asking for anything in return. It's just here for you, here to help you, here to support you. There's nothing you need to do right now except be present. There's nowhere you need to be. There's nothing you need to tend to. Right now, you need to be here. This is the most important place for you to be right now. Please understand that this may evoke some emotions. If tears begin to fall, that's completely normal. Just allow them to surface and to serve their purpose and to help you work through whatever it is you're feeling. Now another deep breath in, and as you exhale, allow your body to let go of any tension. Feel your shoulders soften, your jaw relax, your hands unclench. With each breath, you're letting go of the tension that's built up throughout the day, throughout the week, or maybe even longer. Feel the release as your body becomes softer, more at ease. Now I want you to bring your attention inward. Focus on that quiet place within you, the part of you that knows exactly who you are and why you're here. Wherever that place is within you, I want you to breathe into that place, whether you see it as your heart, as your chest. Some people see it in their bellies or in their pelvic area. Wherever that place is that holds who you really are, breathe into that place and really, really try to connect with that place within you. This is your soul. You don't have to look for it. It's always been here, guiding you, quietly waiting for you to turn inward, to seek it out, and to listen. Another deep breath. And allow yourself to just become aware of this deep, deep part of you. It's in there. It's in every one of you. If you're not feeling like you can find it, if you still feel like you're searching for it, that's okay. You can still take some deep breaths and just acknowledge that it's there somewhere, and that you will if you keep doing this, you will eventually find it. It will eventually show itself to you. As you continue to breathe deeply and naturally, take this time to ask yourself, what does my soul need today? You need to whisper that to yourself. What does my soul need today? And just feel what that feels like. Feel what comes up for you. It may be overwhelming at first. Please don't let it overwhelm you, because you may need a lot. Your soul may be saying you need a lot, and that's okay. That's normal. You just try to feel that and breathe through it. Breathing is so important, so continue to breathe through whatever you're feeling when you ask your soul, what do I need today? What do you need today? Just sit with the question. The answer may not appear immediately, but just sit with a question. Let it float in your mind without needing to grab a hold of it. Another aspect of just being is allowing the question to be there without having to find the answer right now. Just allow it. Imagine that question inside your body, just floating all around, and see it in there. Like, what does my soul need today? What does my soul need today? It's just floating in there. You don't have to grab onto it. It can just float for now if it needs to. Allow it to just float. Maybe your soul is asking for peace, for rest. Maybe it's asking you to release an emotion or thought that you've been holding on to. Or maybe it's reminding you that you are enough, just as you are. Whatever comes to you in this moment, trust it. Trust that your soul is speaking to you, even if the message feels subtle or quiet, or even if you don't feel like you receive a message at all. It's still there, sending you a message. We just have to learn how to speak its language. Trust it. And as you sit with this message, allow any feelings or emotions that arise to come to the surface. We're not judging them. We're not telling them to get back down and stay out of the way. We're allowing them to rise to the surface and to be what they are. And if it evokes a bad feeling in us, then that means it was something important that initiated that emotion. But it needs to serve its purpose before it can move on. So if this causes tears to fall, allow them to fall. Allow them to just be what they are. It's okay to feel whatever you're feeling, whether it's peace, discomfort, or something in between. This is your time to just be with yourself without needing to change or fix anything. There's nothing about yourself that needs to be changed or fixed. You are not broken. You do not need to be changed. You do not need to be fixed. You need to accept yourself as you are. Notice what comes up and just breathe through it. Feel any tension or discomfort, just keep breathing. Breathing's going to help you work through that. As you exhale, imagine that tension softening and releasing. You're creating a space for clarity, for love, and for peace. This is what you want. This is what you've been searching for. And you're doing it right now. Even if it doesn't feel like you're accomplishing anything, you're doing it. You're on the path. You're starting now for clarity, love, and peace. Let the breath carry away what you no longer need so it can make room for something new. For the next few moments, just rest in this quiet space. There's no need to do anything. No need to solve or figure anything out. Let your breath guide you. Trust that your soul knows what you need and that being here right now is exactly where you're meant to be. You're opening up channels in your life, in your heart, in your soul that have been closed for so long. And it's time for them to reopen. And that's what you're doing right now. Acknowledge that. Acknowledge the work that you're putting in, the effort that you're putting in, and what you're giving to yourself right now. You're doing this for yourself. This is not for anyone else. This is for you and for yourself to help you heal, to help you relieve the suffering that you so deal with and so want to be gone. This is the beginning of that. Breathe through it. Allow it to be what it is. And now, as we bring this quiet reflection to a close, I want you to take a moment to thank yourself for showing up today. I know this wasn't easy. It's not an easy thing to do. It's not something we're taught. It's not something that is rewarded. But it is something that you need to thank yourself for doing. This is time for you. And the fact that you've allowed yourself to be present in this moment is a gift for yourself. As we move forward, know that you can come back to this quiet place within you whenever you need to. So whatever you're feeling right now, you can come back to this place anytime you need to. Breathing will help take you there. It's there for you, just waiting for you to tap into it. So we're going to take one more last deep breath in and exhale. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes, bringing yourself back to the present moment, feeling lighter, more centered, and more connected to your soul. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining me in that. Oh, I love that. Was longer than the ones I usually do, but I wanted you to experience the whole depth of that and to see what's possible. I'm curious to know if things arose within you or started to stir, or what your experience was during that. If it felt odd or weird or strange, or if it felt good and peaceful and like something that you want to continue doing. Roxanne says it felt amazing. Yes, right? And what I want you to understand is that amazing feeling that you had just now is yours every day, every moment of your life. It can be tapped into anytime you want it. It's there for you. It's for you. Okay. Any questions before we move on? I know I said we would be through by now, but I have a couple of special guests who Mary said it made her feel peaceful. Oh, I love that. Yes, that's my favorite. Peaceful. Oh, feels like I need more of it. Yes, yes. So good. So it's time for us to move into our emotion release section. And I have a couple special guests that I introduced you to earlier that I'm going to work with right now and help them just release some trapped emotions. And what I want you to know before I do this is, yes, this is a healing modality. No, it's not something scary. No, I don't hear voices. No, I don't see things. It's just something that I have been able to train myself to do, and I've gotten pretty good at it. I have done it with people individually, and they have said, how did you know that? Like, how did you know that I was experiencing that? And that has really helped change their lives. But I've never done it publicly, so this is my first time to do it publicly. But I want you to understand that it is that our emotions, you know, I talk about this a lot. They're intended for us to feel them, right? And when we don't feel them, when we push them down and shove them down, or we push them away, then they can get trapped in there. They can get stuck in our system. And there is a flow in our body that is meant to flow. And when our emotions get trapped and stuck in there, then it prevents that flow. It's like blocking them. And so we don't flow like we're supposed to. And so our emotions really can't send us the messages that they're supposed to send us, because everything is blocked up in there. It's like this gunk, it's gunking up the system. And so releasing the trapped emotions helps open up that flow again so that everything can start to function the way it should. I have seen people feel lighter, feel be able to think more clearly. They are even feel better physically, and they feel like a weight has been lifted off of their shoulders. There's so many benefits that have come to the people I have helped this with, and I'm just excited to be able to bring this to you today to just show you what's possible. This is the reason I'm doing this publicly, is to show you what's possible, that this is an avenue that you can take to help you even more so connect with your soul and live from a place of soul love. Because if those emotions are trapped in there, then it's not working the way it should. All right, I'm going to check Instagram. Let's see. Okay, nope, we're good over there. Okay, so we're going to Kitty, Scott, who wants to go first? Does one of you need to go? Does one of you need to? You have plenty of time?
Yeah, I've got time, and I'm not scared. I can go first.
Okay. All right, we'll pop you back down, Kitty, so we can have Scott up here. All right, so Scott, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to get into this with you. I shared with them earlier that I had to ask for permission to be what's called a proxy for them, because to release the emotions, I have to do it on a person. And I'm not there with Scott, so I have to do it myself. So I have to serve as a proxy for him. So it's like we're connected with a string, and that when he has already given me permission to be his proxy, that now I can go along that string, I can tap into that string and go and see what's going on with him. Like I said, I don't see things, I don't hear things. It's not weird and taboo. It is just very helpful. Roxanne says, hi, Scott.
Hello.
Okay. So I'm going to write this down because I want to make sure I write down which things come up for you.
Okay.
And I'm going to pull up my chart. And so what happens is I use what's called muscle testing. And I just internally, I'll ask Scott some questions. I'll ask some questions internally to just try to connect. And then once I find an emotion that is trapped, that's ready to go, then I can release it. And you have to have some kind of magnetic surface to release the emotions. Some people will hold the magnet. I just use my hands because our hands have a heavy magnetic field in them. If you know that our hearts have magnetic energy, so do our hands. So if you will try this with me, if you're watching, just rub your hands together like this, and you will feel them getting warm. But after you do that for a few seconds, when you release them, you'll feel them tingling. That's your energy. You can feel your energy. If it feels sticky, you got some issues that we need to work through. But at any rate, that's your energy. And so I have magnetic field in my hand, so I just release with my hand, and I have to use along the meridian. It has to be along the meridian. So I just will be doing this. You'll see me be doing this, and this is a release. It's bringing magnetically. It's bringing his emotions that trapped out, and it's dissipating them out through the top of my head. I know it sounds weird, but man, it is so helpful. Okay, stop. So let's get into this.
Okay.
All right. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to close my eyes, and I'm going to see if you have any trapped emotions that are ready to be released. Because here's the thing, I can't release trapped emotions until your body says it's ready to release them. And then they go in order. I have no control over which emotions are ready to be released. They're like in a queue. And so I can only affect the ones that are on the top. Okay, so let's see. Yes, Scott has some trapped emotions that are ready to be released. Let's see, what is the first one that is ready to be released for Scott? Okay, so it's telling me, oh wow, okay. Scott, the first one that's ready to go for you is terror. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah.
You don't have to tell me stories unless you just want to,
Okay.
but
I
yeah,
think,
it's completely up
well,
to you.
what I will say to that is I feel, and this could be the terror is just kind of frozen right now, like afraid to get back to life.
Yeah. Yeah, that when I pull up terror, it says intense, sharp, overwhelming fear, extreme fright, alarm. It's like she felt terror when she realized she was about to be in a car crash. So I think it's the overwhelming fear that you're feeling,
Hmm.
maybe. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So let me see what we need to do with this. Is terror correct? Yes. Okay. So terror is ready to be released. Okay. I don't need to know anything more about terror. It's just ready to go. All right. So it only needs 3 swipes. So I'm releasing terror. And I always do 4 for safe measure. All right, terror. Yes, terror is released. All right. So that terror was released. That doesn't mean that you might not experience it. Sometimes the release of these emotions, it takes a few days to see a difference. Sometimes you can feel it immediately. Sometimes it's a very emotional release.
Hmm.
But that terror that was on the top is now released, and it will dissipate. It will begin to dissipate.
Okay.
Okay, let's see if there's another one. I'm going to write this down. I will send you this information, Scott, too.
Thank you.
Okay, the next one that's ready to go is, it says pride, but I want you to understand that it doesn't mean what you think it means,
Okay.
because I have pride. I have to release pride. I don't know, probably once every couple of weeks, but it's not what you're thinking. So let me read this to you. It's an overly high esteeming of oneself for some real or imagined merit or superiority, which we know,
Hmm.
vanity or an excessive desire to be noticed, praised, or approved, feeling better than others, haughty, non teachable, has to be right, expect more credit than others, or treats others with disdain or contempt. Now, here's what I want you to understand. This is the one that I have when I have pride. It's a healthy pride. Having a healthy amount of pride, which is self respect or self esteem, is a good thing. And this type of pride usually doesn't show up as a trapped emotion, although it may be if one's healthy pride is injured. So this is what I experience. I feel like it's probably what you're experiencing, that your self-respect and self-esteem, that healthy pride, has been injured.
Hmm.
Does that sound familiar?
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought so, because I don't see you as a prideful person in the other way, for sure.
Right.
So I do believe it's the healthy pride, that self-esteem that's really been injured and really has you questioning a lot of things. And that's
Yeah.
probably where a lot of the fear comes in too, I would imagine.
It's been pretty constant for a few years being injured.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's see if there's anything else I need to know about this healthy pride. No, it's ready to go.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. Yep, that one released.
Mhm.
Be proud. All right. That's going to be a game changer for you, Scott. I can't wait to see what happens. Those
I am
two,
looking forward to it.
just those two together, oh my gosh, being released and out of there, I can imagine that you're going to feel this real sense of lightness at some point in the next week or so. Gosh. Okay, let's see if we can get one more here.
Okay.
All right, this one is, gosh, yeah. This one is failure, which I think we have all experienced and probably all have trapped at some point in our lives. Failure is when one falls short of success or achievement in something expected, attempted, or desired. She felt like a failure when their marriage ended. He felt he had failed at supporting his family when he lost his job, or the girl was upset about her failing grade in science class. So, failure.
Yeah.
Whew, that's a big one. Let's see if we need to know anything else about failure. Yep, it's ready. Okay. All right, there it went. All right, that one's gone too. Holy
Okay.
cow, Scott. That is a lot. Those three are very, very heavy. Oh my gosh, I can't. I mean, imagine what it's like carrying those around or having those stuck in there.
Mhm.
And I'm just really excited to see what you experience after this, to see
Okay.
what opens up for you and just how you're feeling. So you might, if you don't mind, not keep a journal, but just kind of pay attention to, ways that you feel different, or maybe that you're like, oh, I'm thinking more positively today, or I see things from a different way, or the sun's shining and I never really saw that before.
Okay.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
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 So
I will definitely try to stay in tune with myself and pay attention to that.
yeah. Oh, okay. I there are, let's see. Yeah, there are others that can be released, but if I release too many of them at once, it overwhelms your system. And
Okay.
so because those all three are really heavy, I think I want to stop there and see how those do. And
Okay.
if you do pretty well with those, then we can go hit the rest of them.
All right. I am looking
Okay.
forward to seeing how this works.
All right. Do you have any questions or anything?
Um, no, I don't have any questions. I will say that I definitely feel good right now from our reflection.
Good.
It was very good. And I also think you should make an app for an alarm clock to remind us these things in the morning so that we can wake up to your voice saying, "Hey, remember these 5 things, or remember this, remember that." I think that's what I need because you're very motivating and I
Oh
very much
gosh,
appreciate
Scott,
it.
you're so sweet and so kind. You need to tell my kids that. I don't know that my kids like the sound of my voice, hearing the sound of my voice all the time,
Sure, sure.
but I just, I have loved getting to know you, Scott. I think, did I say this at the beginning that you were one of the first few podcast interviews that I did? And people loved it. People loved the questions that you asked me, and that just the way that you did the podcast was just really a hit. And so we've kept in touch with each other because he just made such an impact on my life, that I just really am grateful for your friendship and for your willingness to come on here and allow me
For
to
sure.
help you in this way.
For sure. Thank you,
So,
Amy. That does mean a lot.
yeah, of course. Okay, if there's nothing else, we'll switch and get Kitty up here. There's Kitty, Roxanne. Oh my gosh, Roxanne, she loves my voice too. That's so funny. that you say that because people tell me a lot, like, I could listen to you talk all day long. And I'm like, I don't know. I really, really think it's my soul coming through in my voice, honestly. I really think that's what it is. It's not that I have a soothing voice or anything. I think it's just that. And Roxanne says, hi, Kitty.
Hi.
All right. Are you ready for this, Kitty?
I am.
Okay, how are you feeling right now?
I feel good after the reflection exercise. I do.
Good. I'm so glad. I tell you, it's so powerful, when you just sit down and do it and make time to do it. And like I said, it's there for you every moment of every day. It's just, oh my gosh, I need to do more of these apparently because you are enjoying this. I'm so glad. Okay, Kitty is also giving me permission to be a proxy for her to see what emotions surface. So you ready?
Yes.
Okay, so let's see. I need to connect with Kitty. Okay. Now, Kitty does have trapped emotions that are ready to be released. Let's see, what's the first one that's ready to go? All right, so it's telling me, okay, I need to write this down too. Kitty. It's telling me the first one that's ready to be released, Kitty, is conflict. Does that resonate?
Yeah.
Okay, let me read. Again, you don't need to share anything personal. I don't need that unless you just want to, but this is the description of conflict. Excuse me. Internal conflict is a mental and emotional struggle within the self, arising from opposing demands or impulses. For example, he felt conflicted about whether to take the new job. External conflict is to fight, to disagree, or be disagreeable, to struggle or battle against, or to antagonize. For example, she and her ex-husband experienced continual conflict over the custody of their children. So there's an internal conflict and an external conflict. And I'm going to ask which one. Okay, internal. Is it internal conflict? A mental and emotional struggle within the self, arising from opposing demands and impulses. All right, let's see if I need to know more about conflict. I do. Okay, it's telling me I need to ask some questions about conflict. It wants you to know something specific about this conflict. So let's see. I'm going to internally ask a few questions so that it doesn't you don't have to share a lot. Okay, so what I'm getting is that it's work related. Does that sound familiar? An internal conflict that's work related? Okay. I need to write this down. Okay. All right. That's all it wanted you to know, is that it knows that you're struggling internally with something dealing with work and that it needs to be addressed, or it is trapped in there because that it has caused such a struggle that it's become trapped. So all right, it's ready to go. All right. Okay. All right. It released. Internal conflict due to work related conflict released itself. And something I feel that I'm supposed to share with you is that That doesn't mean that it's gone for good. It means that it's released right now. And if the conflict isn't dealt with, that it will continue to come back. It can come back if the conflict isn't dealt with. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, let's see if there's another one. Yes. What is this one? Okay. Yeah, one of the same ones Scott did. Failure also seems to be trapped in there and ready to go. And it's again when one falls short of success or achievement in something expected, attempted, or desired. Let's see if I need to know more about failure. No, it's ready to go. Okay. All right. Okay, that one released too. All right. So whatever the failure is that you were experiencing that was stuck in there. So sorry, I got to get a drink. Was ready to move on. It was ready to get out of there. And so it has released itself. Excuse me. And so that should help things a lot. Again, understand that it can return if whatever situation is making you feel like a failure continues, then it can return. But I will encourage you, both you and Scott, that if that situation or experience comes again that makes you feel like a failure, when you allow yourself to feel that emotion and to express it however it needs to be expressed, then it doesn't get trapped in there. It's when we try to fight it or when we try to make it pretend like it doesn't exist when it gets trapped in there. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see if you have another one here. Yes. What is this one? Okay, let's see. Okay. This one is vulnerability, which I think most of us have had trapped in our systems at one time or another. Feeling susceptible to harm, either emotional or physical, unsafe or unstable. Excuse me. I had this one recently when I shared something with someone that I don't know that I've ever shared, and that person did not treat it the way that I intended it to be treated. And so I was very vulnerable with this person, and that person did not respect what I shared with that person. And so that sunk right down in. It just went right down in there and got trapped. And so I had to release vulnerability. So it doesn't mean that you fear for your life or anything like that. It's a more of a fear of, I'm I it's either I have expressed myself, been vulnerable to someone and they did not respect it or treat it well, or I'm afraid to be vulnerable because I don't know what that's going to mean for me. I don't know what the outcome might be. It can be a myriad of things, but nevertheless, it's one of those. And so let me see if I need to know anything more about that. No. Okay, it's ready to go. Okay, there it went. That one was released too. Whew, okay, so internal conflict, failure, and vulnerability. Those are heavy ones. Those are big ones that really, really can cause, excuse me, a lot of stagnation in there. So now that those are released, you should feel some lightness. You should feel, like I said with Scott, like, oh my gosh, the sun's shining today. I never noticed that before. That kind of thing. It probably will even help you feel better physically because those three are so heavy, like they affect us physically. A lot of the emotions affect us physically, but some of the heavier ones make it even worse. So I wouldn't be surprised if you start feeling better physically and emotionally. And like I said, it can take, several days to a week to be able to see any kind of difference at all. And sometimes it's very subtle. And so, like I said to Scott, really be paying close attention to things that you're noticing that you didn't notice before, or ways that you're feeling that you haven't felt before. And I would love to catch back up with you. Let me see. Okay, yeah, you do have others that can still be released or that are ready to go. Like I said with Scott, like I don't want to overwhelm your system and make you feel worse because that can happen if you do too many at once. And so I'm going to leave it here at 3 and let me know. I'll check back in with you in next week, and if it goes well, then we can hit the some of the others and get rid of
Okay.
some of those too. If that sounds okay.
That sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have any questions or any kind of statements or anything you want to share?
It's interesting to see, what was just there underlying and not
Yeah.
realizing, what's really holding you back.
Yeah. It's one of the reasons that I talk about emotions so heavily because they
Mhm.
do play such a huge role in our lives. And when they get trapped, they affect everything in our
Mhm.
lives, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, socially, financially, everything. And so being able to release them and allow them to move along so that we can, you know, e- open up that flow just helps everything. And so I
Absolutely.
love that. It makes me, I am enjoying this so much, being able to bring this type of healing to people that it makes me sad now that I've waited so long to do it, you know.
I can
Um,
understand that.
yeah, but I don't know that I was ready to fully embrace it until now. And I'm just excited to be able to bring this to everyone. And I want to add Scott back to the stage in case you have anything to add.
Mhm.
Um, and I have added in the description, except for Instagram, a link to my calendar. If you are interested in knowing more, and again, I said this is not going to be a sales pitch. That's not what this is about. This is about helping people. But I have already had people messaging me like, how can I learn more? How can I get more of this? And so I wanted to make that available to you if you're interested at all. I do have some that you can pay for and some that are free. So if you want to start out with the free ones are just like information gathering, but the ones that I have to charge for are when I actually have to do the work because it's deep emotional and energy draining work for me and time consuming. And with all of my the limitations I have in my body, I just have to charge. And I hate being like that, like I have to charge money for what I'm doing, but I know that it's helping people and I know that it's worth my time. And so at any rate, check out that link. If you have questions, feel free to message me or comment. And I'm happy to help. I just want to help. I just want to help people heal and relieve as much suffering as I can in the world. And so, however I can do that, I'm open to it. Let's see what Roxanne's saying right here. It's not our timeline, right? Here, I'm doing it now when you're supposed to be. Oh, right.
I'm
Scott's
just
laughing like you've been there.
I'm just gonna say that that's what I was gonna say. I have the note that says trust the journey. You're where you
Yeah.
need to be. And then 2 minutes ago you said you feel sad that you didn't do this sooner. But trust the timeline. I learned that today.
Yeah.
Yes. Isn't that so funny, Scott? Thank you so much, Roxanne. Thank you so much for sharing that. I say all of these things and then inside I'm feeling something different, but I never want to come across like I got all my crap together because I don't. I've
Yeah.
been through some stuff. I've learned a lot of stuff, but I keep saying I'm still human. I still deal with all of this too. It's just that I'm a little bit further along in the journey than some people. And so I know how to bring myself back a little bit faster, but it doesn't mean I don't struggle. And so I really
For
try to
sure.
be transparent and authentic about, yeah, there's still a struggle. It doesn't mean you don't ever struggle again.
For sure. I
Um,
appreciate that. And I wasn't meaning to call you out. I just thought it
no,
was kind
no.
of funny. And I do want to say that that one, the reason it jumped out at me and it resonated with me is because I've shared with you that, I had illness. It's been hard to work and I haven't worked in a year. And this summer, I spent every day with my friend and he died 3 weeks ago. And we knew he was dying. It was something that took a long time, but the fact that I got to spend every day, I waited for that text. He's my neighbor, and I'd be out the door
Wow.
within 2 minutes of him saying, "Hey, come over," and it's where I needed to be.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. I mean, that right there is practicing soul love. Like you're looking at it like I could, instead of saying, I can't work, I can't make a living, I can't do all this stuff. Instead, you reframed it and you turned it around and said, look what I was able to do instead. This is what I got to do. And this is the difference that I was able to make and the impact that he had on your life and all of that. And it warms my heart. I love that, Scott. That's so, so beautiful
Thank
that
you.
you're able to see it that way. And I know it's hard. I know you're still grieving. You have to be,
Yeah, for
for
sure.
a long time.
Yeah, it's
But
been
being
it's been
willing and
hard,
able.
but I will also add to that that, like you said, you don't have to be perfect at it. I have to remind myself that this was one of the worst and one of the best summers of my life because
Mm,
I got to spend it with him.
yeah. Oh, that's so good. Scott, that's so good. Thank you so
You're
much for sharing that. And that,
welcome.
this is what I'm finding. And I know we were way over time. And I thank you all for staying way over time. You can always come back and watch the replay if you didn't get it at first. But this is what I have been finding, that when people share their stories and when people choose to be vulnerable and share what they're really going through, it helps other people. Like research shows that me just listening to your story right now, Scott, helps build my resilience.
Mhm.
Just listening to other people's stories. Doesn't matter what kind of stories they are, but when people are vulnerable and are willing to be open and share, it helps everyone. It helps us become better as one.
Yeah,
And I
for
just
sure.
love that you were able to do that and willing to share that with us. And that's one of the reasons I love my podcast, because that's what I do, is just share people's stories on there.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh, this has been so fun. I'm so tired right now, but like I'm energized, but just physically drained, but also energized, and I have loved it so much. If you guys want me to do more of these, those of you who are watching, listening, let me know. We can schedule more of these. I can have more guests come on live, and we can do some more emotion clearings. I love having you guys live. Like it makes it so much better instead of just me up
It
here
does.
talking. Having you all here to talk to and to really interact with. Oh man, I love that so much. So, okay. If there's nothing else, I think we're going to get off here. And if I decide to do another one, I will definitely, you'll see it posted all over my socials so that we can get more. Let's see. Roxanne is saying, yes, more, please.
Mm.
And then she says, thank you, Scott and Kitty. Yes, a special thank you to Scott and Kitty for being willing to come share your stuff live with me.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank
for
you for
sure,
having me.
and thank you for the opportunity. Yes.
Absolutely. Mary says this was wonderful. Yes, please continue to do this series. And thank you everyone for your time. I love it. Oh, we could go on and on. All right. I got to shut this down, or I literally could talk about this all night. I love you all so, so much. Thank you so much for being here. Let me know how I can help. And if you want to know more, like I said, I'm always here. You know where to find me. And I will see you guys later. All right. Thanks.
Oh,
Bye.
cool. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.